They strapped 10 pounds of explosives onto the dog's body, then had it charge quickly toward the battlefield, attempting to blow up enemy tanks. But as it got closer and closer to the tank, the dog suddenly lay flat on the ground. This way, the soldiers in the tank couldn't detect its presence. Finally, under everyone's expectation, the dog smoothly hid under the tank, then detonated the explosives, successfully destroying an enemy tank. This was the fate of all suicide dogs. Once they charged onto the battlefield, they could only die together with the enemy, with absolutely no possibility of coming back alive. However, some suicide dogs got terrified when they saw the tank fire, and could only quickly flee to the sides of the battlefield. But even for dogs, the Soviet army didn't allow deserters, so the barrier troops directly shot and detonated the explosives on the dog. And some other frightened suicide dogs would quickly stop and turn around on the spot. The soldiers were terrified. Once the dog charged back and detonated the explosives, it would cause serious damage to the entire camp. So the commander again ordered the barrier troops to end the dog's life. Watching all this, the dog trainer was very sad. She searched every corner of the battlefield with binoculars, but didn't find any trace of any dog. But just when she was in despair, Jules Bass, the suicide dog with the worst training performance, miraculously came back alive. But before she could be happy, the captain again ordered her to strap explosives onto Jules Bass. Although the trainer was very resistant, this was a military order, so she could only comply. Soon Jules Bass charged onto the battlefield again, but because of nervousness, this time it lay down at a place far from the tank. Seeing it was about to be discovered by enemy forces, Jules Bass directly crawled quickly under the tank. Just like that, it once again destroyed a tank. Having had the previous experience, the soldiers had more expectations for Jules Bass, so they all turned their eyes toward the battlefield. Sure enough, a few minutes later, Jules Bass once again safely charged back into the trenches. After this battle, the commander developed strong interest in this suicide dog. So at night, he secretly took Jules Bass away to carry out the next mission. This time, he planned to have Jules Bass blow up the enemy's weapons transport train. When the enemy stopped the train to rest, the captain quickly sent out Jules Bass carrying the explosives, but it didn't immediately charge toward the train. Instead, it hid in the grass, watching the enemy's every move. When the train was about to start, it crawled onto the tracks under the train, then used its mouth to remove the explosives. But just when everyone thought this mission was about to succeed, the last enemy officer boarding the train suddenly discovered the explosive package. So he immediately became alert and drove away from there. But the captain and his group didn't give up. They quickly took Jules Bass on a shortcut and reached this stone bridge one step ahead of the train. This was the train's only route, but there were also many enemy forces guarding it. Because of the earlier explosives, the enemy forces were now very cautious. Soon, the soldiers on the bridge received orders to search the surrounding areas of the bridge. And this was the best time for Jules Bass to move. Because there was no one guarding the bridge, it very smoothly charged to the detonation point. At this time, the train had just driven onto the bridge. Then came a huge explosion. The entire train was destroyed, and Jules Bass also disappeared forever in this sea of flames.